Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You can go at 11:40 and escort Swamiji back here. Okay? Pratishedhuma shakyatvat. Pratishedhum. Pratishedhuma shakyatvat. Neti neti ti sheshitam. Idam naham ityadha pratipadyate. Aham dhiriti aham dhiridamatmotha Vacharambhana gochara Nishiddhatmodbhavatvatsa Nishiddhatmodbhavatvatsa Na punarmanatam vrajet. Purva buddhim abadhitva notarajayate matihi drishire kasvayam siddhaha phalatvat sana badhyate. We saw the first line in great detail. Just think of the sofa set. Okay, very easy to remember. Yeah. So, old has to go to make room for the new one. Because otherwise, there is no room for two. The idea is there is no room for two opposing tendencies, opposing notions, oppositional ideologies, ideas. Otherwise, there will be a fight inside the head. In fact, there already is, right? There's a fight inside the head. And what is the fight? I am whole. No, I'm a victim. I'm great. I don't feel too good. I'm wonderful. Ouch. This is the opposing tendencies. This is what is causing all these ups and downs and fears and pains and sorrows. And so just take off everything that are old notions. Means that Purva means before the knowledge, what you thought about the I is not what you thought. The I is never what you thought. Anything that you say is a superimposition. Anything that you say. I am a man, superimposition. You mean I'm not a man? That also is a superimposition. I am a woman, superimposition. I am old, superimposition. I am blonde. That means what? I am a bunch of yellow colored hair. That's what, by the hair one is defining. At least that's better than saying I am bald. Means I am a bunch of non-existent hair. Anything that you say, this is all about the physical characteristics. Mental characteristics, I am restless. I am angry. This is how I am. I am upset. Again, all just wrong notions, according to him, not me. Okay? Because he speaks with the backing of the Upanishad. So no matter what we think we are is not what we are. This is what it is. Whatever you think you are not what you think you are. Because you are not a product of the thought, you are not enclosed by a thought. That which can be observed and enclosed by a thought is the personality, not the person. You are the person, the personality is just a value added plus. Frills, that's all. Like children wear a frock with frills on the sleeves and on the bottom, etc. These are all frills. It's not you. One gets caught in the personality and the ahankara attaches to those qualities which are ephemeral, temporary, and soon coming to an end. And so that is how the ahankara gets trapped, totally trapped. It says, what does it say? It says, I have been disrespected. And disrespect becomes what? A definition of the I. I is equal to disrespect. And if that's the case, what is that? Subliminally, subconsciously one is looking for disrespect. One is attracting it, really. One is looking for it. Why? Because the ahankara wants to be right. And so the ahankara says, I am right. And supposing some buddhi prevails and the sakshi says, well, I think you just should come, over to my side over here and just be the observer. No, I'm right and I'll show it to you. So then, if this kind of a thought is there in the person, when the person meets the next person, they will create a scenario to be disrespected, and the ahankara will say, see, I'm wounded all over again and you never believed me. I told you I'm disrespected. It will make sure to do that repeatedly. And also because the pain from the past needs to be processed. And we have talked a lot about this in the Upadesha Sahasri. Without processing that pain and getting a sense of healing, one cannot go forward. How can you embrace that I am whole when there is a split inside you? How can you embrace that wholeness of vision? A vision of no division you can never, ever, ever embrace. And so the healing of this division requires many things. Requires self-love, self-compassion, Shastra. Then what else? So many things it requires. Even before the Shastra, it requires therapy, yoga. And in the absence of all this, a skewed sense of I, a skewed sense of the world, a skewed sense of Ishvara, God, leads one to just be a permanent venter. You can't permanently vent. You can't vent all the time. You can vent a little bit. You can vent that's just a little catharsis everybody needs. But the ahankara is a perma-venter. It keeps venting all the time, all the time, all the time. Keeps venting and venting and venting and venting and venting. And inventing more ways to keep venting. That's all it does. Inventing and venting and inventing and venting. And in that way, it reinvents itself and makes itself relevant all the time. This is a big spoof. And if we don't see this, we are worse off. This has got to be understood. This has got to be seen. And here, Adi Shankara makes an attempt so that one sees it. And anything that you think of yourself, he says, is not you. It's not the I. Anything means what? Anything other than Satchidananda. So the answer to the question, anybody asks, generally what question do people ask? How are you? The answer should be what? Wonderful. Yes. You don't say Satchidananda, you express it. Say, wonderful. At least in the beginning, if you say that, afterwards you can go into a little bit more detail, which will be, of course, unsavory, knowing, because one is sort of descending into Jivatvam. It's okay. But still, you have started the conversation on the right foot. That is how it should be. Because the truth is, I'm always okay. This is not a disconnect and a dissociation. It's not about denial. It's not about being in denial. Nobody is asking you to be in denial. You can be authentic. But more and more what that authenticity means shifts. Before I thought authentic means telling all my problems to anybody who will listen. Now that's an old couch. Ouch. That's gone. That's no longer relevant. Why? Because I have grown. I have grown beyond that. It's no longer relevant. That's old news. And so as I grow, the definitions of the I get more and more and more subtle. I no longer look upon myself as a samsari, very, very sorry. I don't look upon myself as a samsari. I don't look upon myself as wounded. I don't look upon myself as a victim, permanent or temporary. I don't look upon myself in any other light except that I am Satchidananda, as though abiding in this body-mind-sense complex, in this hotel called body-mind-sense complex. And the fact that some people have a 5-star hotel-like body and other people have what? Not even 1 star. Ramshackle, run down, creaky, leaky body. Still it is Satchidananda. If you are living in a 5-star body, then also Satchidananda. But sometimes if you are living in a 5-star body, it is difficult to see that I am Satchidananda, because it's difficult to not identify with the body. Even if you are living in a creaky, leaky body, then also it is difficult not to identify with the body. So on both spectrums, both ends of the continuum, one has to be a bit careful. So when the old thing goes, then only when old notions have to be exorcised. You know how when there is a ghost, in India, in rural India, you take a big bunch of neem leaves and you make a broom out of the neem leaves. Neem leaves has got the neem tree has got a lot of anti-possession properties. So, if people are acting as though they are possessed, and then what do? You make a nice bunch of leafy neem leaves and then beat them with it while chanting some mantras. Go around them, chant some mantras and go shoo, 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 don't come back, shoo. This is exactly what we have to do to the notions internally. Except every neem leaf is the leaf of the Shastra, leaf of the Mahavakya. The Mahavakya is the antidote to the inner ghouls of wrong notions that colonize the heart, the mind, and terrorize it all the time, keeping me as a samsari. Very, very, very important. So, just like that exorcism, so whatever entity is possessing the person, the idea is they will leave. They will go, and then what will they do? Not come back. That is how it is. So here also, whatever entity is possessing, it's asked to leave. Entity here is notion. Whatever notion I have myself, about myself, is a possession. Why? Because I allow it to take over me. I allow the woundedness to take over me, therefore I am possessed by it. I allow the pain to take over me. I allow anatma to take over me. That's why I am possessed. I don't possess the feelings. I'm possessed by them. You see what I'm saying? So constantly, there is no place for Vedanta to come in the head or in the heart. Why? Because you're just constantly run by these feelings in the form of these ghosts, which do not even have a body. They have no leg to stand on. They are siphoning off your energy from within. That's what they are doing. And these inner vampires who possess have to be gone before the Atma, before the I can be free. Because the Atma is already free. But it is somewhere, it is been as though eclipsed by the Ahankara. And the Ahankara is told that it is no longer running the show. It's not in charge, it's not in control, and therefore it needs to leave. And then it leaves, at least it stops being the person in charge. And then what happens? They then, after all these beings who possessed, after all these anatma beings who possessed the I, took charge, after they leave, what is left? Swayam Siddhaha. Very nice word. Swayam Siddhaha, self-established, that which does not lean on anything else. And that can be only one thing. What is that one thing? Aham, I am self-established. I don't need anybody else to establish me, quote unquote. Self-aware, self-luminous, self-existent, self-established. Supposing somebody were to say, how do you know you are self-existent? What is the proof? What is the proof of your self-existence? If somebody asks, what will you say? You will say that, you will ask that same question we have been asking. What is that? Yeah. So you can, some days are so bad, you have to ask yourself that question. Am I here? Yes, okay, all is right with the world. I am here. You don't need a certificate of existence. You don't need proof. You don't need anything. You are here. You are the shining one. And to this shining self, self-shining self, everything in the whole universe becomes evident. My body, evident to me. My mind, evident to me. My senses, evident to me. Other people's bodies, evident to me. Other people's minds, evident to me. Everybody, evident to me. 5 elements, evident to me. My own feelings, evident to me. How can you go from the 5 elements to the feelings? Well, because the feelings are just a rarefied form of 5 elements. The mind is a sattvika portion of the 5 elements. It's all evident to me. But I don't become to anybody evident to anyone else. I say this is a mic. The mic doesn't say, oh, now the Swami has come. No, it doesn't say that. It is not aware of my presence. I am aware of my presence and I am aware of its presence too. When I say everything is evident to me, I become an all-knowing being. Okay, you lost me there. Up till now I was happily going around with you. Now here is where I have to beg to differ. How can I be an all-knowing being? You have to go back to the basic definition of all. What's all? What I know plus what I don't know. Correct? There are many things I know, and then there's lots of things, lots of stuff I don't know. What I know plus what I do not know is equal to what? All. Do you know what you know? Yes. Do you know that there are many things you don't know? Yes, you are Sarvagya, all-knowing. For this all-knowing me, all-knowing means, see, when you say something is, pot is, not only I am looking at the existence of the pot, not only am I ratifying the existence of the pot, but I am also seeing it as Chit, not just Sat. Because pot is, when I say, and we know very well there is no such thing called pot, but when I say pot is, I am saying pot knowledge is. Pot is nothing but knowledge. And this knowledge never dies. This knowledge never dies because it's not the knowledge of objects. It's the knowledge, we can't even say of the subject. Because if we say it's the knowledge of the subject, like Brahmano Jnanam, Brahma Jnanam, Brahmano Vidya, Brahmanaha Vidya. Sixth case compound if we make, then we are in soup. Why are we in soup? Because Brahman is knowledge. Brahman does not possess knowledge, because if you possess something, you will be easily dispossessed of it. So Brahman is the possessor of nothing. Brahman is knowledge. Just like when you say head of Rahu. What is Rahu? We heard last night story of Rahu. What is Rahu? All head. So head of Rahu, if you say, it is useless. Similarly, knowledge of Brahman. No, knowledge that is Brahman. Pot knowledge is. Thought knowledge is. Everything is knowledge. And this knowledge is not belonging to the object. Cannot even say belonging to the subject. It is the subject. It's non-separate from I. This knowledge is non-separate from I. This all-knowing being here is called Drishi. Seeing. But why the word being is not there? I supplied it for easier understanding. All-seeing. If it's all-seeing, means all-knowing. All-seeing means all-knowing. So knowledge has to rest in a conscious being. Adi Shankara does not say that specifically. Because when we think of a conscious being, then we think of a being with a head. And all knowledge cannot rest in one head. How can it rest? Even the person with the biggest head, Guinness Book of World Records, got an award for the one with the biggest head. Still it will be finite. It will have a measurement, it will still be finite, correct? So, therefore, we are talking of the infinite. It's all knowledge without a head. Sahasra Shirshav Purushaha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat. That's even when you say 1,000-headed, 1,000 is just a number. It's infinite. It's a seeing without boundaries. That's why it is Drishi. And seeing here is not an action. Seeing is being. Seeing that is non-separate from being. A seeing, being, seeing, same. How long? Forever. Unchanging. That is my Swarupa, Drishi Swarupa. Because if he had said seer, it would have excluded the world of the seen. And if he had said seen, it would have excluded the world of the seer. It would have excluded the seer. Then if he had said the means of seeing, eyes, then it would have excluded both seer and seen. It's neither seer nor seen, nor that bridge of eyesight, for example, or any other pramana that connects the seer with the seen, the knower with the known. It's none of them. It's none of this tripod of seer, seen, what is that called? Means of knowing, means of seeing. It transcends all three only so that it can support all of them And if it is supporting all of them with its presence and its knowingness, then it is not any one of them. This much we have to understand. It's not any one of them at all. And so, then, that takes us to the last verse. Idam vanamatikramya shokamohadidushitam vanad gandharako yadvat Svamatmanam prapadyate Svamatmanam prapadyate Idam vanamatikramya shokamohadidushitam Vanad gandharako yadvat Svamatmanam prapadyate. This is just a nice, wonderful verse, concluding verse, just in time to go home. It's like a home-going verse. Because what are we getting ready to do? Go home, or go wherever we belong. We are going back home because 10 days we have been here. And so, this is an encouragement to go home, except that having been here for 10 days, the idea of home has been completely revamped in the head. And what is home? That is what is going to be described here. Earlier you thought this was home, but really that what you thought was home is not home. And a story from the Chandogya Upanishad is given. Beautiful story, rife with a lot of allegories, metaphors. A successful businessman from the Gandhara province, maybe it's ancient form of Kandahar, the now Kandahar. So, an Afghanistani successful businessman, what does he do? He goes to sell his wares, sells everything, and then what happens? He has to cross the forest. In the forest he is set upon by some thieves, robbers, who take away his earnings, all his money is gone. They also took his cell phone, okay? Otherwise the story will not make sense. Yeah. They took his tablet, cell phone, everything. And he's in the forest, so there's no network anyway. No towers. They take everything, blindfold him, tie his hands and legs, make off with his money. Why do they tie his hands and legs and blindfold him? Because they don't want him to follow them. They don't want him to call the cops. They made off with his money. And he screams, I'm from Gandhara. I'm lost. He's not gagged. He's only blindfolded. He has his voice. I have been set upon by robbers, thieves. Scoundrels have robbed me, taken me into this forest and made me lose my way home. I am from Gandhara. Where is Gandhara? I don't know. Please help, help, he cries. A good Samaritan passing by could have just minded his own business and gone away, but he hears these plaintive cries coming from within the forest, goes in search of it in the dark, finds this man crying, unbinds him, cuts off the cords that bind the hand and legs, takes off his blindfold and orients him, or takes him by the shoulders, brings him to the road and says, Gandhara, your home is that way. Head that way and keep asking as you go that way. He points and says, go that way. Keep asking. After a little, go that way means what? It's very far. You can't keep going that way. It'll be like, that's how perhaps Indians learned how to give directions after reading Chandogya Upanishad. Should never. Indians are horrible at giving directions. Never ask directions from a dog, but not from an Indian human person. Keep going straight. Where? Keep on going. How long should I go straight? No, keep on going straight. It's terrible. I think it comes from a feeling of, like supposing somebody you don't know asks you something, they are like a guest in your town, in your country, and you don't want to say, I don't know. You want to be hospitable. I'm seeing the best, okay? I'm seeing the best possible explanation. Terrible they are at directions. And so here he says, please keep asking along the way. Don't just go. Ask along the way. And then keep going. This is the way. The general way is shown, and then you please keep asking as you go. And now you can see how to unpack this story. The lost businessman without an identity. Everything, his wallet is stolen, money is stolen, everything is stolen. And then what? Gagged and bound by notions. The ropes are the notions. Blindfolded because he doesn't have a direction to go. No Vedanta. Bound by his own notions. The robbers are his sanity. They have taken away his sanity. His money is his sanity. They have taken away his sense of self. And whatever his sense of self was, his possessions. So he is now surrendered. He cries. The good Samaritan who comes is what? Guru. Who comes to help is the Guru. Because he cried for help, the Guru comes, loosens the bonds, and points to the general direction of where he needs to go, where? In order to go home. Gandhara is home. It's not just a province. It also means a celestial place, like a kind of a heaven or something like that. So that is home. Gandhara is home, and in this home is where you abide. And when you first encounter Vedanta, you understand you are a long way from home. It feels like that. One is cast in the forest of samsara and very, very upset. And that is the story here. So, a story I have told, let us see the verse itself. Idam vanam atikramya. Crossing this terrible forest. Why is it terrible? Shoka mohadi dushitam. This forest is tainted, dushitam. Tainted, afflicted by shoka, sorrow, moha, delusion. A delusion that keeps on giving and giving and giving. The more you live in this world of notions about yourself and others, all fancy ideas and imaginations. You live in a world of imagination, you live in a world of subjectivity. And this subjectivity, what does it translate to? It translates to sorrow and delusion. It keeps on giving and giving and giving and giving and giving endlessly. Endless samsara. Infinite sorrow. This is what happens. So cross this forest. Having crossed this forest, characterized by sorrow, affliction, pain, anger, my own and other people's, and delusion. And so from this kind of a terrible forest, Gandharako yadvat. So just like you go, from this forest full of beasts, all kinds of beasts are there, ready to pounce on me. Biting things, snakes, alligators, and then other biting things, big cats, all the, biting things, eating things, scary things, roaring things, all these things are there. So from that I have to escape. Yadvat. Yadvat means just how I can, one escaped in this 6th chapter story of the Chandogya Upanishad. How did the man escape? Only with the Guru's grace. The Good Samaritan is the Guru. And the Guru is needed to point to the direction home. Here is your home. No, but I live in Maryland. Yeah, you may live in Maryland, but your home is where? In your heart. And this means I have to learn to feel at home with myself. I have to first and foremost learn to be at home with myself. When I am at home with myself, I am at home with the entire universe. This is the teaching from here. I am at home with myself, and then I am at home with the whole big universe. And when I am at home with myself, nothing bothers me. Because I have a sense of belonging. I'm supposed to be here. If I have a sense of belonging, no more is there a sense of longing. I want this, I want that, I want this person's attention, I want that person's love, I want to like this, I want here, I want there. Because everything is right with me. Wherever I am, I'm at home. So I don't have to seek home in the sense of approval, validation. Nothing. No approval seeking, no validation seeking, no attention getting mechanisms. AGM, attention getting mechanism. Here. No AGM. Those are all very, subtle. Sneaky they are. It's much better to say, it's much better to, even if one is having a samsara attack, it's much better to say, you know what, I think I need some attention. At least one is being authentic with the situation. And the other person will say, no, I won't give it. They are also equally authentic. And then you say, okay, doesn't matter. Let me see what else I can do. But this AGM, the attention-getting mechanisms, are very sneaky and subtle. What do? They create a scenario so that one can be noticed. This is not from the adult, this is coming from the child. Perhaps one grew up in a household where nobody noticed anybody until they died, That's when they said, oh, this person's gone. I knew some people, and I went to their house for lunch. And they had 2 twin boys. One small boy is itself difficult to manage. Imagine 2 twin boys, and these were people who had children late in life. Very late in life, so they were kind of already tired, the parents, by the time they had these children. He was about 55 and she was about 50 when they had these children. And then, so they were already tired. So the twins, the twin boys were like 1 year old. And one of them was very mild, soft, and looked also very small and thin. I don't think they were identical twins, and the other one was big, hefty. You could see that he had siphoned off everything, all the nutrients from the mummy in the womb, not leaving anything for the smaller one. And then, one of them had learned to walk at age 1, and the other one was still crawling. And then the parents were coolly sitting. They said, we'll have some tea. I said, sure. So we were sitting in their backyard, in the garden, and they served tea, and they brought tea. I'm also having the tea, and thank God we have peripheral vision, so I didn't even look that side. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the one that was crawling far away from the brother, and the brother picked up a pair of scissors from somewhere, and he is going like this. The scissors are almost as big as him, and he is going like this. And of course, I almost spilled the tea because I just, and they were very cool, they said. And I said, I couldn't even bring the words. I said, this is what I said. I pointed, and then I was so worried for these babies. And then the father was wanting to show me something of interest in a newspaper. So he was looking for it. So his face was buried in the newspaper. So I took the newspaper down and I said, look, we need to go there, because I couldn't go there. I was blocked by something, whatever they had there. I said, you need to go there. And then he just slowly looked at them, and then looked at me and looked at them, and he addressed the one of the children, child, don't do that to your brother, otherwise he'll die. And in the same visit, another time, the younger one, the older one put the younger one in the oven. Yeah. But thankfully did not turn it on. And the mother was very cool. She said, yeah, these things happen. But I'm happy to report all is well, and this happened a long time ago, so they are just wonderful young men. Swamiji is coming.
On this bright, sunshiny day, with the moon waxing towards fullness, we have the good fortune to be here in the presence of Sri Dakshinamurti, newly reconsecrated, for our valedictory, for our camp on Upadesha Sahasri. We request that Swami Vidyadatmananda share with us words of blessing as we go home. It is said that Sri Dakshinamurti is the universal teacher who unfolds with kindness and compassion. And thanks to Puja Swamiji's grace, that tradition of teaching with kindness and love and compassion continues right here today, here and now. So with Koti Koti Pranam, we honor Puja Swamiji Vidyadatmananda.
It's on? Is it on? Not quite.
It's a little soft, but it's on.
Okay.
We have done 2 chapters.
Yeah.
Pratishdha
Pratisheda Prakara. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina vadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swaminiji has taken a section of a very important text in Vedanta, the Upadesha Sahasri, which are the 1000 teachings of Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. It has, as you know, the poetry section as well as the prose section. And this class is started with the poetry section. And the discussion begins with a familiar topic of Bhagavan Shankaracharya. What is discussed here still not loud enough. It's very loud, yeah. Okay, all right. Right. So here, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, in a typical manner, before beginning the teaching of Brahma Vidya, has to clear other possible options. First of all, to establish what the goal of life is. And here the people who stand before him as opponents, whereas those who are well established are the Mimamsakas, or what we call the Karmakandis. Karmeti Mimamsakaha, the Mimamsakas believe that karma or action or ritual is the means of attaining the goal of life. Even accepts that happiness is a goal of life. But then how to acquire happiness depends upon where the happiness is. If happiness is something different from you, then it would require you to perform an action, make an effort to acquire what you don't have. Karma or effort is the means of acquiring what is not acquired. If happiness is thought to be unacquired, meaning that I'm unhappy by nature, in order to become happy, then I must do what is required to be done to acquire happiness. So this is the Mimamsaka, this is what everybody begins a life with an assumption that I am a limited, unhappy creature as I find myself to be. And all the schools of thought in Vedanta, other than Vedanta, and all the schools of thought in the whole world basically, are based on taking the self as unhappy, inadequate. And therefore happiness or freedom is something to be acquired. Because I find myself to be lacking happiness, lacking freedom. At the same time, I find that I have an urge for happiness, urge for freedom. That's a strange thing. I am born with an urge for happiness or freedom. And I'm also born with the conclusion that I'm not happy or free. Understand, these two things I am born with. I am born with this conclusion about myself. That as I am a lacking, wanting being, an incomplete person, and therefore not a happy person as I am, and thus I have to become happy, become complete. And for becoming something, karma or effort is a means of acquiring what you don't have, becoming what you are not. So this is the usual conclusion that a human being has. And everywhere in all the schools of thought or all religious traditions also, we find that the teachers prescribe rituals, upasanas, whatever means, religious, spiritual means, to attain whatever is the goal, like it is heaven or paradise or whatever, something different from me. And the Mimamsakas fall in the same category. This is not absent in Vedic culture. It began that way. So Mimamsakas also accept that self is incomplete and happy, and I have to perform an action, rituals prescribed by Vedas to become happiness. And that concept of happiness is called Swarga or heaven. And therefore, after the death or departure from this body, you must reach heaven, then you'll be happy. Heaven is defined as that happiness devoid of all unhappiness. Doesn't make sense, but that's how it is defined. So this is the goal that they have, and therefore, karma, all the rituals prescribed by Vedas, become necessary means to attain Swarga or heaven. That is called moksha for them. To attain the goal of life, karma is the means. And therefore Bhashyakara begins this text. And first of all dealing with them, because the listeners are already have the impact of those teachings. And therefore their mind must be first made clear. Just as Ramana Maharshi says, that how karma kim param karma tajjadam, is karma able to give its own phalam? Karturajnaya prapyate phalam. The result of an action is attained by the laws of karta, Lord. That karma itself cannot give rise to its result. But Mimamsakas thinks that you don't require a God. Imagine. Mimamsakas, the staunch Vedikas, and their conclusion is that you do not require a God. Which God? Who has created the world, who is the creator, sustainer, dissolver. That kind of Ishvara you don't require. So Mimamsakas have no place for Ishvara. According to their understanding, the karma itself gives to the result. And karma is what is prescribed by the Vedas. So, with this background, the text begins. Because the listeners have this orientation. They have been told and they have been oriented to believe that to attain the goal of life, you have to perform rituals, you have to perform action, you have to make an effort. Not realizing that the whole process is like the 10th man. The very search for the 10th man is the denial of the 10th man, right? The very search for the 10th man is the denial for 10th man. Why? Why is it? Why the very search for 10th man is denial of 10th man? Why? Because I must assume that I am not the 10th man. I can search for 10th man. I am denying the 10th man that I am. And similarly, searching for moksha, searching for happiness, Vedanta says, is denial of what it is that you are searching for. This is a unique perception and unique insight that Vedanta gives, which nobody else gives us. That you are already what you are trying to be. That life does not have to become a process of becoming. Life rather become a process of discovering what you are. Very fundamental difference. With that, Shankaracharya begins the discussion with the Mimamsakas in this text, saying that karma cannot be the means of moksha. Jnanam is the means of moksha. Jnana or knowledge does not produce anything. Knowledge simply reveals what is. Karma or effort produces what is not there, whereas knowledge is like light, it only reveals what is. Mimamsakas are not interested in what is. Siddha vastu. What's the big deal about knowing what is already there? That I have two lungs, what's the big deal about knowing that? I have a heart, thank you. So it's called Siddha Vastu, already existing thing. Knowing that doesn't do anything. It doesn't create any action in you. Action is that it can be either you acquire something that you don't have, or give up something that you don't want to have. Heyam, giving up something that you don't want to have. Upadayam, acquiring something that you don't have. That is life. That is called life, where you are doing things, making effort, acquiring what you don't have, giving up what you don't want. And that is what makes life, they say. And there's just what is there. I'm sitting there. What is that? They cannot accept a sannyasi who is doing nothing, who is meditating, doing nothing. Yavat jivam agnihotram jahoti. Vedas are very clear that everybody must perform their duty as long as they are alive. For the Mimamsaka, चालू हो गया? नहीं तो बहुत अभी only 12 o'clock. For the Mimamsakas, there is no sannyasa. Sannyasa means giving up duties. How can you give up your duties? Akarane pratyavaya. Duty means what you are supposed to do. What you are required to contribute to justify your existence. Recognize that the whole universe is supporting you. You are what you are on account of what the rest of the universe does for you. Recognize that. And therefore, you also have to participate. Our Pujya Swami used to say that if karma was not to be performed by us, all that Ishvara should have given are the organs of perception. You see, hear, think, and experience. But Ishvara has given you hands and legs and speech, the organs of action, which means you are supposed to participate. What is meant by action is participate. Understand that in the whole universe, every element of the universe is contributing something. there's nothing that drops out. That's not allowed. Then it won't remain, its existence won't be. There's nothing in the universe that is idle. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, when Arjuna said, I will not perform an action, Nayotse, I will not fight. Lord Krishna, that doesn't work. If you give up your action, then even you can't even survive. Sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhi akarmana. If you do not perform your duty, if you do not participate, you drop out. That's what we do in India, drop out. When the task is too difficult, like the 12th, the Parikshama exams are coming, too tough. There I have dropped out. You cannot drop out in life. You have to participate. They say that if you don't run with others, you will run over. That's how the life is. And so, therefore, Lord Krishna says, Sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhyet akarmanaha. If you stop participating, then you won't be able to even survive. So this is what the Karma Kanda section of Vedas teach. Very relevant also. But then there has to be a point where karma also finds fulfillment by contributing what it does, what it has to. Mimamsaka's interpretation is that Vedas say that Yavajivam Agnihotram Jahoti, you must perform Agnihotradi karma, your duties, as long as you are alive. Therefore, for the Mimamsaka, there is no such thing as a sannyasi. Andapangu, only unfit people alone can become sannyasi. For them, people unfit to perform rituals, they become sannyasi. A fit person cannot become sannyasi. So, Mimamsakas do not accept sannyasa. They cannot accept people who are just folding hands and do nothing, You have to participate, you have to contribute. So this is where the basic discussion or basic viewpoint or difference of opinion arises with Bhashyakara. Did you write that yes, we must perform the duty, but there has to be a point where duty has done its job. They think that karma you must do because Vedas want you to do. Says no way. Nobody can want you to do anything. Even Vedas also cannot compel you to do something. Bhagavan also cannot really. Nobody can compel you to do something. We have the free will and therefore we decide what to do or what not to do. Therefore, a point has to come when karma has done its job, has fulfilled itself, and that you have to go further. Depends on what you see is the purpose of life. If you think that attaining heaven is the purpose of life, then yes, karma is means. But then, Vedanta says, just as the karma phala that you attain in this world, karmajito lokah kshiyate evamutra parunjito, just as action that you perform brings about the outcome which is perishable, so also heaven also is an outcome, is also perishable. What we attain by karma cannot be imperishable. And what you want is imperishable, recognize. If you could be satisfied with something that is limited, something that is perishable, no problem, but the human heart cannot be. We are born with a sense of self-dissatisfaction. A human being is born with this basic problem of self-dissatisfaction. all the creatures in the universe are free from this problem of self-dissatisfaction. A cat is happy being a cat. A dog is happy being a dog. A donkey is happy being a donkey. You may have some problem with donkey, he doesn't have. Well, human being is not happy being what he is. He is the most evolved creature. The price you have to pay for evolution is what? Self-dissatisfaction. You cannot be happy even for a moment. You can be happy only when you avoid yourself. As long as you confront yourself, you cannot be happy. There is a constant conflict going on in the mind. Because I am confronting the self, that is dissatisfied. Poor human being finds all kinds of means to distract himself. All the means that human being finds self-distraction. Escaping from one's own self. That's all we do. Whenever we engage in anything that will give us happiness, it is to avoid ourselves. So that we can avoid confronting ourselves. A time comes when you cannot escape. A time, Arjuna, he could not escape. He wanted to escape. Lord, I will not fight. Please let me go. Let us go away. No. Lord Krishna was very calm and quiet, didn't say anything. But he did not accept Arjuna's request. Arjuna was not allowed to escape the challenge. He was required to take the challenge. Similarly, when we are required to take challenge, we recognize. Vedantin says that, why do you think that karma is only means? It is based on an assumption that you are an incomplete being, that you are lacking in happiness or fullness. It's not so. Your perception about yourself is wrong. The dissatisfaction you have about yourself is not a reality. It is because of the false perception you have about yourself. Therefore, it is not karma that will change anything, because that false perception remains intact. In words of Pujya Swamiji, he was miserable. When he was poor, he was miserable. He is miserable even when he is wealthy. So, many years ago, when Pujya Swamiji first visited the United States, and returned, that those days we were students, brahmacharis. Asked Swamiji, what difference did you find between US and India? But amazing perception Swamiji is, In United States, a person is miserable with everything. In India, a person is miserable without anything. That human being miserable is not his doing, he finds himself so. And he doesn't know what to do. Vedanta teaches that your reason for misery is your false perception and not a reality about you. The Mimamsakas and everybody else proceed with their life taking this as reality, and therefore karma becomes the means of becoming free from unhappiness. So the discussion starts with Mimamsakas, where the karma as the means of moksha is dismissed. Karma is fine. Understand, people think that Bhashyakara has problem with karma. He doesn't have problem with karma. He has problem with nobody. Vedanta has problem with nobody and nothing. If anything, you have problem with ignorance and aviveka or the lack of discrimination. If there is a problem, that's all there is. We have no problem with Mimamsakas, with anybody. So he is only educating people. Educating the Mimamsakas. That look, it's not dismissing them, not vanquishing them, educating them. That you are all very hardworking, dedicated people. Recognize this basic reality in your life. that unhappiness is not a reality about you, it is because of perception that you have about yourself. What needs to be done is to change that perception. Thank you, Swamiji. I'll give up all my karma and change my perception. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. I cannot change the perception, perception has to change. Meaning that some transformation must take place inside such that my perception of myself changes. So karma has a role for a different purpose. To make my mind change my perception about myself, my judgment about myself, my conclusion about myself. I am born with certain conclusions because I have a certain state of mind, which Vedantians will call a mind which is riddled by ragadveshas, attachments, aversions. A mind that is extrovert, mind that is distracted. Therefore, to have the right perception of yourself, first of all, correct the focus of your mind. Therefore, Vedanta prescribes the first step as to change or correct the focus of the mind. Paranchakhani vetruna swayambhu tasmat parang pashyati. Ishvara has done this to us. Kathopanishad says that Ishvara, by creating sense organs and mind extroverts, has killed them. Meaning that Ishvara has given us all this beautiful equipment with a basic problem. And so we can go round and round. He must be watching, I guess. That's the only way samsara can go on. If he gives you enlightenment to begin with, then there will be no rebirth, there will be no samsara. He wants his samsara to go on. Who? Ishvara. That's why he's given ignorance. That's why given viparita jnana, false notion. The first thing is to change that false notion about oneself, to change the focus of the mind from extrovert to inward-looking mind. There karma is a role. But for Mimamsakas, karma means a karma performed with the desire for outcome. A Mimamsaka cannot accept performing action. Arthi samarthi. He must be an arthi. He must have the desire for outcome. So performing the ritual or karma, first requirement is desire for outcome. Vedantin says no. Perform karma without the desire for a personal reward. That's the big change. Same karma, only difference is the change of attitude. And that does, it is not karma that makes the mind pure. Karma doesn't become pure, purify the mind, nor does it make the mind impure really. What purifies the mind is the attitude that goes with the karma. If something impure makes the mind impure, it is the attitude. And if something makes mind pure, it is the attitude. So this attitude that I'll give you, become generous. Take the result of the karma. You take it, I don't want. Bhagavan, here is my karma. You take the result. You take the outcome. I don't want. I don't need it. Even though I need it, I still say I don't need it. It's called fake it till you make it. You know? So karma yoga is faking till you make it. Even though I need it, I act as though I don't need it. Slowly that then becomes a reality. After a long time, that becomes a reality. Then you are ready for seeing who you are. As long as you are a needy person, already there is a false perception. You don't see what you are. So first of all, the change of perception takes place in two stages. One is by karma yoga, by purification of mind. Then second is by removal of ignorance or dehata buddhi. So it is all along removal of ignorance. Karma yoga also is for removal of ignorance, gross ignorance. And jnana yoga is for removal of ignorance, the fine tuning. if you see the sculptors, they work with chisel and hammer and big chisels. Then chisels become smaller and smaller and smaller. Once I went to a sculptor, he was finishing a statue of, I think, Mahatma Gandhi, something in Ahmedabad. He was doing like this. It's not a chisel. What is this? What is he doing? Fine, very fine chisel, very fine strokes. From very rough strokes to very fine strokes. That's why in the beginning, big raga dveshas are removed, slowly it becomes finer and finer and finer. So thus a two-step process is taught to us. First step is believed to have taken place, and Vedanta teaches second step of Atmanatma Viveka, which is the main subject matter of Upadesha Sahasri. But before we do that, this preparation of mind is required, the change of focus of mind is required, and therefore the karma, discussion about the karma, etc. takes place. And it's a very beautiful text, I guess. I request Swamini to continue with the next verse. It will get tougher. As it goes, it gets tougher, right? Still more challenging. So with that we'll conclude. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.